Hi, so it may seem late to many of you that we're doing a video on the Tarun Tejpal judgment. But remember, it took us a while to scan through the 527 pages. This video is not a dissection of the acquitted verdict. As the matter goes to higher courts, the evidence and what the court says are glaring contradictions between the victim's allegation and the CCTV footage are going to be tested again and again. So this video will focus on the judgment. We are reading out excerpts from the 527 pages and placing them in context. Now, why is this important? For one, it's all part of a final ruling. It's a public document. It will be used for posterity as precedent. And number two, it's a mirror to this rape trial and rape trials in this country. My name is I Anubha Bhonsle. This video has details that could trigger some of you, so I'll just pause for a moment and wait for you to exit. I'm guessing you know the basics. The man accused and acquitted is Tarun Tejpal, journalist, founder, editor of the Tehelka magazine. In 2013, a female colleague, his employee, alleged that Tejpal assaulted her in the elevator of a Goa hotel for 2 consecutive days. She filed an FIR against him. He was arrested, got bail in 2014, and now in 2021 has been acquitted of all charges. What I'm about to read for you are excerpts from the 527-page judgment that obviously would have played a part in the not guilty verdict. Sample number 1. In an email testimony, and I quote, "The victim states as soon as the elevator doors opened, she picked up her underwear and began walking out." In a testimony to the police, the words were, and I quote, "She pulled up her underwear and began walking out." In a statement to the magistrate, she says, and I'm quoting now, "She pulled up her panties and walked hurriedly out," unquote. After listing these parts, the paragraph in the judgment says, "Such glaring contradictions cannot be expected from an educated journalist like the victim and force the court to not believe the incident of rape," unquote. Sample number 2, another excerpt, and I'm quoting now. "It is not possible to believe that the victim, a woman who's aware of laws, intelligent, alert, physically fit, would not push off the accused," unquote. Related to this, in another part of the judgment, the court has observed, again I'm quoting, "If she was not in conversation with him and her mouth was not open and she was facing him, would it be possible for him to pry open her mouth? Why did she push him away before he kissed her, or at least put her hands in between them?" Unquote. Sample number 3. During the trial, a man deposed in the victim's defense, to which the court said that he did it falsely because he was interested in having a relationship with her. Now, also during the trial, there's a testimony of another man that the victim came out of the lift smiling. This one has been accepted by the court, despite the second gentleman having an intimate relationship with her. Sample number 4, and I'm quoting again. "It is extremely revealing that the victim's account neither demonstrates any kind of normative behavior that a victim of sexual assault on consecutive 2 nights might plausibly show," unquote. Now remember, the court had a chance to see photographs of the event for which the Tehelka team was in Goa and observed that the victim was, quote, "not disturbed, reserved, terrified, or traumatized in any manner." Sample number 5. During the trial, the victim's old phone messages were presented to her by the defense. An objection was raised that it was an attempt to maim her character, but in the final judgment, the court says it has sustained the objection, but did comment that it was entirely the norm for her to have flirtatious and sexual conversations with friends and acquaintances, unquote. Sample number 6. This cross-examination that was allowed by the judge and then has been summarized in great detail in the judgment. There's a question about lining under the chiffon dress, how much above the knees. There's a question about why did she seek out 3 male colleagues who are not intimate friends to confide about the alleged rape and not her female roommates, her closest friend, or her mother. Sample number 7, a line in the judgment that asks why the mother of the victim did not drop everything and come to Goa after she found out about the assault. Pallavi?
These are not an exhaustive list, but some of the problematic bits of this rape trial. Prime among them is a boilerplate normative behavior that should be traumatized and disturbed and believable that is expected from the survivor. Here's what's accepted from the accused. Tejpal's apology emails of 2013 circulated between the victim, the Tehelka managing editor Shoma Chaudhary at the time, and later leaked, where he apologized unconditionally for what he said in his own words, and I quote, "was a shameful lapse of judgment that led me to attempt a sexual liaison with you on 2 occasions, despite your clear reluctance that you did not want such attention from me." This has been understood by the Goa court as something not sent voluntarily by the accused, but sent due to the explicit pressure and intimidation by Shoma Chaudhary, and because of a promise by the victim that she won't pursue the matter further at an institutional level should he apologize. Then the judgment says that Tejpal never admitted to any act of sexual assault in any explicit or implicit manner, so one can't assume that he was apologizing. The court deemed that the victim was manipulating an interpretation to suit her case. One more aspect in the judgment about the controversial CCTV footage. There is a question to the survivor about which button did Tejpal press on the lift while he was allegedly assaulting her. The survivor claimed that Tejpal made sure that the lift stayed in motion and did not stop. The judgment has relied on the CCTV footage that showed that the lift was in motion during the alleged incident and the doors opened at least twice on the ground floor. No CCTV footage of the first floor was submitted, which is Mr. Tejpal's defense that they got out on the first floor and re-entered the lift immediately. The judgment says no evidence that the lift was in motion as alleged by the survivor. We'll stop here. We are hoping that the excerpts give you a sense of the vocabulary of rape trials and the behaviors that we expect from survivors: disturbed, terrified, traumatized, dresses above the knee, non-flirtatious, etc. An appeal has been filed against the verdict, and the Goa judge has been asked to redact references where she gave away the victim's identity.
Just a bit of personal context before I say goodbye. It's a 2013 case, less than a year after the Delhi gang rape that led to more stringent rape laws. And it's 5 years before Me Too hit home, especially many Indian newsrooms. Tarun Tejpal was a powerful journalist and a public figure. The Omerta Code, among the most prolific of journalists, was strong and was in a mainstream newsroom at the time. And some of the earliest defense that came for him from editors, male and female, was that of solidarity with Tejpal and his ways. And in this landscape and power imbalance, a young woman decided to file a case of rape, possibly against the advice of many. As many experts have written, the verdict could have still been an acquittal for lack of evidence or many other reasons. But this judgment and the excerpts that I have read have indicators to why it was so. I am I Anubha Bhonsle. This is Newsworthy, Pallavi and Self-Belief. This work is in public interest. It's worthy of your time. If it has been, do consider making a small donation. The link for that is in the bio. You'll always be assured of work that's unbiased, unbossed, and unbought from the two of us. If you've been watching, thank you for your time.